Well, hi to the beginning of our coaching volleyball class. And obviously, in this first week, we want to talk a little bit about your coaching philosophy and just consider the question, why do you coach? Why do you want to coach? And as you consider that question, I think we'll get down to some basic values that you can investigate and explore to lay a foundation to why you want to be a volleyball coach. So, what is it that makes up your philosophy? When I think of philosophy, I'm thinking of what is my guiding beliefs or principles that really is the basis for why I live, how I live. It goes beyond just my coaching, it's in my everyday life, why I do what I do. But then, as we get down to what would be specifically my guiding beliefs and principles in my own area of coaching. So take some time and consider that. What are your core beliefs, your core principles, your core values? First of all, in your life, and then as it would relate to your world of coaching. Another way to consider is, what do you want others to know and understand about you? In other words, what makes you you? What identifies you? What defines you? And then I think another way to look at your philosophy is, what is it that you can guarantee that if your players play for you, they will get this? So, what can players expect you to provide for them as it relates to your philosophy of coaching? And obviously, from a Christian viewpoint, how do my beliefs, my principles, my core values align with Scripture? And specifically, how do my coaching beliefs and values and principles align with Scripture? I think too often people put coaching in a different box. You know, sport is a different world, and so I can kind of leave my Christianity at the door and forget that every aspect of my life should be permeated through the lens of Scripture. So, what's the purpose for developing a coaching philosophy? Well, we all have a philosophy, but sometimes it's hard for us to actually articulate it. But actually, as we develop a coaching philosophy and actually write it out, it will help inform everybody that's involved. It will help people know how I approach the game. There's not any surprises for anyone. It also will help parents know where I stand. I have found that by passing out a one-page philosophy paper to parents at the beginning of a season is very helpful as we proceed through the season. They just understand where I'm coming from. Also will help players make informed decisions whether they can play for me or not. Just trying to be upfront with my philosophy and why I do what I do. Sometimes players can look at my philosophy and think, I'm not really into that. And so it helps them make an informed decision. And then my philosophy helps me with my coaching decisions, my day in and day out decisions that I have to make. And I think it also just helps me keep winning in perspective. Because as coaches, we all can get kind of taken in with winning as the only and the ultimate destination. So for me, having a coaching philosophy that is clear and articulated helps me keep winning in perspective. So I'm asking you to write a coaching philosophy. And again, as I mentioned, most coaches have a philosophy of coaching, but often they aren't able to articulate it. So actually writing it out and going over it will be helpful to you as you move on in your coaching career. As I mentioned, it will provide the stakeholders in your program an idea of what drives you, why you coach, what they can expect from you. And I think a well-developed philosophy that's thought through and reviewed often will help you make the difficult decisions when you have to. And again, as you write your philosophy paper, obviously over time it will change. You'll tweak it, you'll revise it, but essentially your core values will remain the same over time. But don't be afraid of tweaking, revising your philosophy from year to year as you get more and more experiences. And then I just thought of 7 things that might test your philosophy. There's probably more than these 7, but things in my career that have challenged my philosophy from time to time. Obviously, players, especially players that won't buy into your philosophy, they'll test it and see if you actually mean what you say. Parents often will test your philosophy, and it's important to be able to have a clear path of communication with them. Your own staff might at times test your philosophy, and this is why it's important to have a clear, articulated philosophy you can share with your staff so that you all can be on the same page as you face your players and parents. Administrators also will test your philosophy. Again, as you get into a school situation or maybe a club situation, you will have to see how your philosophy blends in with those that are in authority over you. But administrators will challenge your philosophy from time to time, question your philosophy. So again, it's important to have it well established before going into those situations. I find that the time of season can test my philosophy. At the beginning of the season, I'm all on board. I'm ready to go. I've reviewed my philosophy. But as the season wears on, depending on the type of season we're having, there might be times that I begin to question what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. So again, that's why it's good to have it written out so it can be there and can be reviewed even during any part of your season. I think sometimes team morale can test your philosophy. There has to be buy-in, and sometimes for various reasons, the team may not be on your same page. They may question what you're doing. So again, having a clear philosophy and sticking to it during the season, I think is helpful, even in maybe some difficult situations. Your own family problems may test your philosophy. Being a coach is not an easy profession. It does put many demands on the family. And as you go through different types of problems within your family, you might find that that's a test for your philosophy of why you do what you do within your sports setting. So those are the areas that I thought of when I consider what may test my philosophy. Again, philosophy is something that you already have. Perhaps you just haven't sat down and really worked at articulating it. Philosophy is something that will be changed over time as you continue in the area of coaching, but your core values remain the same. And you will have opportunities to share your philosophy to those stakeholders in your program, but recognize that you will have challenges from time to time as it relates to your philosophy. So it's important to know what you believe, why you believe it, and from a biblical worldview, obviously that should have a biblical foundation to your coaching philosophy. So the next assignment for you is to actually develop a philosophy of coaching. I'm going to have another short video to go through that assignment with you. But again, I hope that you don't look at this as just an assignment, but it'll give you an opportunity to really sit back and reflect upon why do you coach, what are your values, beliefs, your core ideas to your coaching philosophy. And I look forward to reading yours once you turn them in.